It is easy to preach justice, to glorify the coming of justice, and to judge unto others justice when you have nothing to risk for it. Conversely, it is also easy to criticize the inaction of others when you ignore what they stand to lose. The truth is, fighting injustice is often difficult. However, sometimes said difficulty is artificially produced. We will praise people coming out as extraordinarily brave and courageous, but simultaneously ignore why it is okay for such high standards to be a prerequisite for action to begin with. After all, you cannot truly be an ally for justice if you do not believe in making it easier and more accessible for everyone. So, while I was playing Al-Haytham's story quest, I noticed something interesting. Ilyas was facing an internal struggle. Should he go and report academic fraud? The reason this decision was so difficult was because other students would all become collateral damage as a result of justice. Innocent people like Raju would be denied pay and a chance to graduate. Ilyas is presented with a dilemma, and since he's no Al-Haytham or Cyno, he struggles with all of his human insecurities and the weight of responsibility. It is an extraordinary situation to be sure, but this was hardly the first time we've seen such a thing.
Even if you manage to win in the end, no one will thank you. If anything, you yourself might even feel remorse.
Indeed, nobody thanked Ilyas alright. Not only that, they also even made him regret the decision. His just reward for his actions resulted in complete alienation from the academia, exclusion from future research projects, a broken reputation, and of course, endless harassment to his family. But it doesn't even end there, because lost in all the anger surrounding his fellow students is another failure that is hardly spoken about. Because why was it that the academia didn't step in to compensate the victims? Think about it this way. Raju specifically caved in and rejected to report the incident himself because he rightfully deduced what would happen. The project would be shut down, and the innocent students would have lost their chance to graduate, along with some much-needed pay. We mustn't underestimate the value of these benefits, because I would have a hard time believing that these students wouldn't just simply take a better opportunity if it was available. The nature of the situation is the same as Bahari's in that these people have come to find playing fair does not yield equally fair results. Bahari couldn't back out due to his daughter's disease, and Raju and the others couldn't back out because graduating was incredibly important to them. Think of it this way. Justice is more than just punishing the guilty. It is also the rewarding of the innocent. Denial of this right, which is what the academia has allowed, is, of course, an undeniable attack on justice. But let's shift gears and talk about Cyno for a moment. Because while he does take some heat in-universe for being a really strict enforcer kind of guy, he's at least demonstrated a few times that he's more than just that. Or at least I hope, because I'm going to assume that Bahari received the help he needed and had any charges dropped. It would be the least that the nation of Sumeria could do for this man. Really. Imagine this dude sitting in prison while his disabled daughter is alone. Yeah, if we're gonna have an orphan repeat of Dunyazad around here, we might as well just destroy the academia again, because this isn't much better than when the sages were around. So anyways, Cyno is all about justice, but in a judgmental kind of way.
Through me, justice is served!
It's a core concept of his character design. Now there's two things I want to discuss about Cyno in regards to the themes of this video. First off, the parallel between his situation and with Ilyas' situation. Cyno is basically what Ilyas wishes he could have been in that situation. To be confident and fearless in his resolve when it comes to dealing with people in the wrong. To stand tall in the face of whatever comes after. Cyno wasn't concerned with reputation. But an important distinction to note is that Ilyas has that same drive. The passion and motivations are there. It means that he has the potential, and could in theory one day be as confident in his own justice as Cyno is. If we're being honest, I think Cyno is a better role model for Ilyas than Al-Haytham. The issue I have with Al-Haytham's messaging to Ilyas about not caring what others think is that, well, it's counterintuitive because that's not the kind of person Ilyas is. This man needs support, belonging, validation. He can't live like Al-Haytham and just be okay with being alone and marginalized from others. Other people, exchanging positive emotions with you, uplifting each other's spirits, making each other happy, is an important part of the human experience, and Ilyas is no exception. When you care what others say about you, it comes with both the good and bad. Al-Haytham may be perfectly okay with neither, but others can't solve their insecurities by just throwing it all away. Now for the second point I want to make. This is a slight critique on Cyno's part, but it's not too big of a deal, so Cyno fans, don't worry about it too much. As mentioned in the Bahari interaction, he's shown to be at least understanding to the struggles of Bahari, despite Bahari technically being a criminal. Then there's his conversation at the end of Act 5 on rebuilding the desert. I do acknowledge that there has been some focus on the inequality and injustice within Sumeru itself, but I want to see more of this. Cyno has potentially great future story arcs where we can explore more his exposure to the causes of injustice. We know plenty about his commitment to justice, but we predominantly get only one side of this theme. Justice for the guilty is plenty fleshed out for him, but there is an element I believe more important: justice for the innocent. It has had a few references. Cyno went out of his way to promise treatment for Bahari's daughter. That's justice for the innocent. Telling Sataria she should become a teacher for the undereducated desert people. Again, justice for the innocent. Rebuilding Sumeru as it has been portrayed in Act 5 will be an ongoing process. So there's plenty of room for characters like Nahida and Cyno to learn the ins and outs of society, and then proceed to build one where there is indeed justice for all. Although I do acknowledge I'm going a bit too far with this because this is all supposed to be Fontaine's thing. Fontaine is the nation of justice, and so technically this is the wrong country. But hey, it's a good preview of what's to come. Nonetheless, there's still far more to this discussion that I've covered in this video. So what do y'all think? Are the incidents just a relic of the past? Well, because the future is uncertain, Sumeru is barely like 1 year into its new age under the Dendro Archon, so it's not necessarily representative of what Sumeru could be in the long term. One thing that I will say on a bigger picture type of narrative is that every nation we've seen so far has had these examples where conflicts are highlighted by the nation's internal failures. I'm curious if these are intentional as to drip us pieces of evidence of the Seven's failures, which always leaves a little bit of doubt in the Fatui's favor. But of course, that's another topic. Anyways, thanks for watching, and until next time.